There were two news items which caught my attention in today's newspapers. The first was the death of Stan Swamy in a private hospital in Mumbai, some reports even calling it a state-inflicted callous death. The other news item was about the government, saying that it was prepared to share its path-breaking COVID technology with practically the entire world. The first news item displayed an obstinacy and an indifference bordering on callousness on part of the government, which could hurt and rip further apart its already frayed image in the world and among special interest groups in India. The second news, on the other hand, clearly conveyed the government's generosity and large-heartedness, that it was prepared to share free of cost its path-breaking and sensitive tech with the world to fight the COVID pandemic. If you ask me, both developments, even though unrelated, showcase the government's decision-making ability, which can at the best of times be schizophrenic. I will explain this a little more in detail a little later. So hi and welcome all to the CAA show. My name is Juggi Bhasin, and CAA, of course, is conversation and analysis. Okay, so there is this entire spectrum of opinion who Father Stan Swamy really was. We do know that he was a Jesuit priest and a tribal rights activist based in Jharkhand. He had worked for more than 30 years with the Adivasi communities for labor, land, and forest rights. All this is well documented. The government, however, alleges that he had Maoist links and that he was involved in the Elgar Parishad Bhima Koregaon case. Father Stan Swamy, when he was alive, had denied both charges. The NIA was investigating his affairs. They had seized his computer, and he had been in and out of jail regularly. So, here is what I know and do not know about the man. I have no way of being certain that Stan Swamy was a hardened Maoist lending support for a tribal and a Dalit uprising. But at the same time, one cannot ignore the findings of the NIA court. They're pretty damning. In fact, Special NIA Judge Justice D.E. Kotalikar observed, and to quote him, the material placed on record and prima facie denote that the applicant, that is Father Swamy, was not only a member of the banned organization CPI Maoist, but he was carrying out activities further in the objective of the organization, which is nothing but to overthrow the democracy of the nation. Now, these are very strong observations. And therefore, you could say that what is there left to debate, because the observations show that Father Swamy was complicit in the case. Yet, there is another aspect of him that we cannot ignore. He was, after all, at the end of the day, an ailing 83-year-old man who was incessantly in and out of prison and had been keeping poor health. He was also struck with COVID. Perhaps the government could have gone easy on him, and the prosecuting agencies could have requested the courts to release him under house arrest and hospital care according to the wishes of the family. The case was certainly not going anywhere, and by the time he had regained his health, he could have rejoined the investigation. But we all know this did not happen. The point, therefore, I'm making is that the government needs to be firm and compassionate at the same time. I had honestly not heard of Stan Swamy before this case came into the limelight. It came in the public glare only because of the government in its obduracy created Stan Swamy into a cause célèbre. Obduracy, and the Hindi meaning of that is dheetpana. Now you will probably get it. Father Swamy soon became, as we all know, a lightning rod for leftist resistance gathering pace in the country. He became a kind of an elderly symbol of resistance for the young and the restless and the deprived against the right-wing hardline policies of the government. Right-wing hardline? Well, in my opinion, the government has been pretty wimpish and all at sea when it came to dealing with the two most hot-button issues in the country, That is the CAA protest and the farmers' stir. But that again is a topic for another day. The point which I am really making is that the government fails to understand that the most potent weapon in the hands of those who resisted is the narration of victimhood. And the government time and time again plays right into the hands of those who are spinning out this narrative. In the Father Stan Swamy case, all that the government had to do was to facilitate his homestay when he fell ill. But no, some bureaucrat somewhere must have advised the government not to ease the pressure on the man. And look what it resulted in. There is an outpouring of support and anger for him in the country. Even the United Nations and the European Union have voiced their concern and disapproval. The thing is, in today's day and age, you cannot battle your opponents merely with brute force, sledgehammer tactics, and obdurate behavior. You must improvise on the job, retreat sometimes to win later, manage the battle of the airwaves and the soundbite, and at least pretend that you have a heart filled with empathy and compassion. If we don't learn the ways and workings of Naya India, then we will continue to suffer the fallout of such contradictions. On the one hand, you have bouquets coming the way of the government in the sharing of the COVID app, and then you have the brickbats being flung its way because they imprisoned an ailing 83-year-old man. On that note, it's goodbye for today, and keep watching this space, subscribe to us, and cheers to everyone till next time.